Welcome to Daily Devo. My name is Jeremy, and today we're going to talk about what it meant when the veil was torn in the temple. Let's start out by reading the text for today. It's found in Matthew chapter 27, verses 50 and 51. The verse says, "And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook and the rocks split." The first thing I want to note is that Jesus gave up his spirit. He wasn't killed. Because he was sinless, death had no hold on him. He stood in the place of sinners, but had never and was never a sinner himself. Therefore, he could not die unless he yielded his spirit. He even said it, "I lay down my life that I may take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have the power to lay it down, and I have the power to take it up again." The second thing that I noticed in this is the main idea for this morning is that the veil that separated us from the Holy of Holies was torn in two, and it was torn from the top down. It was God that did the tearing. Here's how we know man could not have torn this from top to bottom. The veil was 60 feet high and 30 feet across and estimated at 4 inches thick. It was so large and heavy, the historian Josephus said it took 300 priests to manipulate it. Once a year, the high priest would go into the Holy of Holies and sprinkle the blood for the ritual sacrifice to atone for Israel's sin. The high priest had to go through all sorts of purification rituals before going into that area. Leviticus said to go into the Holy of Holies incorrectly could actually cost you your life. So what's the significance of this? Essentially, the barrier that kept us out of the presence of God had been eliminated. The curtain was a vivid picture of the separation between God and man. This was no longer needed because Jesus is now the mediator between God and man. And because Jesus became the sacrifice for you and I, that we were made the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus, we can now enter into the presence of God. We no longer need the sacrifice of animals, but we obtain our salvation and the forgiveness of sins through the confessing with our mouth and believing in our heart that Jesus is Lord. For the Jews to see this happen was a really big deal. In Acts, it says that in the early days of the church, many of the priests followed the way of Jesus. My guess is the veil being torn was probably a big part of that. Today, be encouraged that the thing that kept us away from God is no longer there. Draw near to him, and he will draw near to you. In a moment, thousands of years of tradition was fulfilled. It's incredible. Thanks for joining us today on the Daily Devo.